nós temos a alegria de contar com a palestra do Rigo Peters, que é diretor-geral do Instituto de Treinamento e Pesquisa em Soldagem na Mecklenburg, Pomerânia Ocidental, que está se juntando a nós diretamente da Alemanha. Está aqui. Esta palestra será em inglês, feita por ele, e após a palestra do Dr. Rigo, e a Carla Vondenbach-Zelewski, também alemã, que fala muito bem português, estarão ao vivo para responder as perguntas ao público. Marcelo?
Então, pessoal, estava previsto o Rigo, a Carla estarem aqui, tá? O Jimenez está dando um apoio aqui para a gente também. Mas de última hora, a Carla me ligou, apareceu um imprevisto aqui, o Rigo não vai poder estar presencialmente. Então a gente fez uma correria para não cancelar a palestra deles, tá? Fez toda uma reengenharia aqui, a gente está com eles online aqui, para não ter problema, não ter risco de problema técnico durante a palestra. O Rigo gravou a palestra dele, a gente vai passar a palestra dele aqui agora. E o Rigo, a Carla e o Leandro estão online, tá? Então a gente vai passar a palestra deles, tá? E depois a palestra está em inglês, tá? Se tiver alguma dúvida aí nas perguntas e respostas, eles estão online, tá? Mas até peço desculpas, eles também foi um imprevisto, não teve jeito. Mas enfim, o que a gente conseguiu foi, para não perder tanto, ter a palestra gravada e eles estão online aqui, tá? Então a ideia é essa. E perguntas e respostas a gente vai ficar normal, online, tá bom? Obrigado pela compreensão e vamos em frente.
Marcelo, só um minutinho, está me escutando?
Ela tá online, ó. Tô. Todos estão.
Então, obrigada. Boa noite para todos. Boa tarde aí no Brasil, aqui já é boa noite na Alemanha. Mais uma vez, nós pedimos desculpas pelo imprevisto. Era para estarmos pessoalmente aí com vocês. Mas, graças à ajuda do Marcelo e o apoio todo do WELD, foi possível fazer essa palestra de forma online, híbrida. O Rigo gravou ela em inglês, mas os slides estão todos em português, de forma que tudo que ele vai estar falando, vocês vão poder estar lendo nos slides. E, no final, estamos à disposição para perguntas e respostas, tá ok? Então, até mais. Obrigada, Marcelo.
Obrigada, Carla, mais uma vez, pela presença. E o tema da palestra de Rigo é a apresentação do Instituto de Treinamento e Pesquisa em Tecnologia de Soldagem de Rostock, da Alemanha. Nós agradecemos a ambos por se juntarem a nós de forma remota e por fazerem parte deste evento ainda mais enriquecedor. Bom, então com vocês, Rigo e Carla.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, my name is Rigo Peters. I'm the Managing Director of the Welding Research and Training Institute, Mecklenburg-Pomerania. And it's a great pleasure for me today to present our institute and our activities, especially in Brazil. We are a training and research institute located in the northern part of Germany, in Rostock, city of Rostock. And we belong to a group, the DVS group, that's different branches and institutes, which belongs to the German Welding Society, the so-called DVS, Deutscher Verband für Schweiß und Verwandte Verfahren. And within this group, we have about 850 employees worldwide, with roughly 800 located in Germany and about 50 in foreign countries. In our institute in Rostock, we are a group or a company with at the moment 43 employees and 4.5 million euros annually revenue. Out of this 4.5 million euros, we have about 1.7 million euros, which we made with education and training globally. I will present some examples for that. And also in Germany, we make about 1.5 million euros with R&D, research and development, with funded research projects, contract research, and also small series production. And we do about 1.3 million euros with services, especially with our tight test laboratory and also certification and construction supervision for all these parts. And different departments. I will give you some examples on the next slides. In numbers, just to get a short excursus on that, we have about 1,500 participants per year, which are within roughly 30 courses, which we do globally, and 1,650 exams. Of this 1,500 participants we have per year, there are about 1,200 participants in practical welding training and about 300 participants dealing with theoretical education, namely international welding engineers, specialists, technicians, but also in non-destructive testing. The research and development department there we have roughly 100 public-funded R&D projects in the last 30 years and about 360 contract research projects. So like a shortcut if you want to be faster, or if the customer wants to be faster for the research results in that case. There we have a lot of systems here. I will give also a short review on that. In certification and construction supervision, we have about 350 companies globally which we deal with, or which are our customers in that case, and our collaboration partners, where we are doing audits, roughly 180 audits per year, mainly in Germany, the Baltic states, and also partially in Russia and Central Asia. The accredited testing laboratories and analytics has roughly 450 customers, and we are doing about 250 welding specifications and qualifications per year. Also, there we have a lot of materials and systems for destructive, non-destructive testing, sample preparation, and all the things. So if we're looking for the different business fields, as I mentioned, we have the quality assurance and where the testing laboratories and construction supervision is integrated. We have the education and research and development, and also some other smaller parts. If we look for the quality assurance, one of our biggest projects in this field was the complete third-party inspection for EnBW Baltic 2. It's a large offshore wind park located here in the Baltic Sea. There we did the complete third-party inspection at different construction sites. In the peak, it was about 10 construction sites across Europe, where we were involved over 4 years in the construction of 80 foundation structures, roughly 40 jackets, and also 40 monopiles for this offshore wind energy systems. Within the materials testing department, we are dealing with, of course, destructive and non-destructive testing facilities, like the sample preparation here for polishing and so on, and also for EDM and raster so scanning electronic microscopes. Also for preparation, we have different systems here: wire EDM, surface grinder, mobile spectrometer, high temperature oven for different testing, but also systems for dynamic and static testing of the samples. The research and development is a relatively large part in our facility. It makes about 30% of the revenue, as it's a little bit special within the group of all the very similar SLVs here in Germany, because we have the highest part of the research in our revenue, which is 25 to 35%, and we are dealing mainly with laser sources and with laser processes. And that department of philosophy is a customer-focused research service provider. This means that the different research topics we deal with: public-funded research and development, contract research as a shortcut for customers if they don't want to apply for public funding, for example, and during the field or during the period after the development of a process or a system or an automation system or production line till the installation and set operation of the production line, we can do also services, and this means mainly small series production. Our current research activities are dealing with laser welding, as we can see here on the top, for large and thick plates, up to, at the moment, 80 millimeters. We are doing laser welding, but also for manual laser welding of up to several millimeters. Additive manufacturing is a strong part with different systems, from very small parts in the field of powder bed fusion up to a really large scale additive manufacturing, for example, for ship propellers or combustion parts or parts of the motor. Also laser microprocessing, there we are dealing mainly with surface structuring and surface functionalization. The applications here are beside surfaces, mainly medical applications like implants for hips or for dental implants, and also for stents for coronary diseases. Materials research is more like a broad base for all the other topics, because if you don't understand the material and if you don't understand what the material is doing during the heating and the cooling and so on, you don't understand where the problems come from. So that's why a lot of materials research is done in the background to understand all the processes we develop in the other three parts. In principle, we understand us as a service provider, as I mentioned, and we are doing the whole chain from the preliminary test to set an operation. Here with two examples, with two shipbuilding machines where we developed the laser hybrid process, or the laser welding process, or in that case here on the left side was 2 layers, laser hybrid welding, which we developed for European shipyards in that case, and together with a partner, IMG here, also a company located in Rostock, we developed the laser process. The company IMG installs a panel line, length of about 350 meters and 60 meter width, and we also do the training, or did the training for the operators, safety issues and all the things, and also were on place or on site when the system was set into operation, and together with the classification rules and the classification societies, we also did the set in operation, so that you only have one partner for the whole chain. And with this example, we are doing this, let's say, 3 to 4 times a year, not only in this dimension with 300 meters shipbuilding area, but also in smaller dimensions for automotive industry, aerospace industry, and of course also medical technology. Here's a short overview on our examples of what we are doing, and our examples also for our customers. There are some partners regionally, companies like Webasto, EW, MMG, Propeller Building, so a lot of shipbuilding industry, a lot of automotive industry, but also for mobile cranes and so on. And an international part, we are working with a lot of companies all across Europe, mainly in the western part of Europe, but also with companies in Russia, the Baltic States, Central Asia, and also South America, mainly in Brazil. Our current fields of interest in research and development are shown here. For example, for laser welding of steel, or laser hybrid welding of steel, here in that case for shipbuilding, very long welding seams up to a length of 16, 20, 30 meters, and with material thicknesses of up to 30 millimeters. And here is an example given for laser hybrid welding in a single pass, or was a single pass of up to 25 millimeter steel. That's an A36 or E36 shipbuilding steels, comparable to S355. And in that case, with a welding speed of 1.5 meter per minute, with just one run. That was several years ago now, and currently we are driving these applications and these processes towards higher thicknesses. For example, to weld bridge constructions or parts of bridge, or also for larger industry applications for mobile cranes, and of course also for the offshore industry, because offshore wind is a strong growing market here also in Germany, and we have some issues with capacity. And of course, doing automated processes and high-speed welding processes is very interesting, especially if you compare it to submerged arc or classical arc welding. For example, the application will be in the dimension and steel thicknesses of up to 100 or 120 millimeters, for example, for monopiles, because these are just large tubes. And we have to increase the welding speed. And of course, if you can weld this, for example, with a laser, or with electron beam welding, these very thick structures, we have a lot of weld seams to do for one of these monopiles. And if you could increase the overall speed, that would be a big issue and a big benefit also for the whole construction. On the other hand, besides the really thick laser hybrid welding, in our case, the actual state of the art is about 50 to 60 millimeters. And low pressure, we can weld up to 80 millimeters with one run. And we are driving this towards 120 millimeters. In the middle, we see additive manufacturing of complex structures. Here we have different systems in our house and in our facilities, in our research department, starting from the development of powders for laser cladding, here seen with a certain type of nozzle, a broad nozzle, where we can clad, for example, with a thickness of, or with a width of 20 to 30 millimeters, driving the layer thickness and the layer width to dimensions of 50 millimeters at the moment. And we can develop and produce our own powders for this process with a capacity of up to 10 tons per year, and are developing the processes for the final product, as well as the optics and cladding nozzles in our house with our facilities. And at the end, we are doing this not only in this powder and powder fusion area, so with a dimension of several tens of millimeters or centimeters, but also in large area and large scale production facilities. Here in that case, roboter-based with a KUKA system, for example, with a linear axis of 6 meters, so we can produce within a volume of 3 times 6 meters, 3 times 3 times 6 meters, also large examples and samples and products like parts of ship propulsion system. And last but not least, the third big branch, of the third big department topic is the surface functionalization using ultra-short laser pulses. There we have mainly application in aerospace, but also in shipbuilding industry, for example, chemical-free anti-fouling systems, and also automotive industry, where we have a lot of electronic devices which we are producing, especially for e-mobility in that case. As I mentioned, we have one, in the meantime, we have 2 of the systems, non-standard industrial additive manufacturing system here installed in 2018. In the meantime, there is a second one of this type, which is nearly the same robot, where we can produce within a volume of 6 times 3 times 2 meters different parts. For example, here we can weld and doing also laser hybrid welding or cutting for example, mobile cranes, high-strength steels, but also produce very large parts with more than 1.5 ton printed directly out of the system, made by then arc wire generative production or additive manufacturing, but also with laser wire and laser powder. So we have all the topics here and all the machines on site. For the laser welding itself, we are using mainly solid-state lasers. For example, one of our systems is a 24 kilowatt system with 8 different fibers, a scanner up to 24 kilowatts, optical coherence tomography, diagnostics, and so on. And with this, we can, as I mentioned, weld up to 80 millimeters with one run at the moment, but also with very high speeds for applications in the automotive industry, cast aluminum, for example, where we weld up structures of less than 2 millimeters in thickness with speeds up to 30 meters per minute welding speed. Also for portable fusion, we have different systems here, starting from infrared lasers for stainless steel, aluminum, but also with a green laser for pure copper and copper alloys. And the largest system we have is a from 200 millimeters in diameter building platform here, or base plate, where we can produce even larger systems. And depending on the machine and depending on the application, we are using this for different applications in our house. So if we switch again to DED, laser powder or laser wire, we have different KUKA systems here, coax printer for wire, for Precision, and also, of course, for laser hybrid welding, then different laser sources and also arc sources, like here from Fronius system, the TPSI 600. Conversion partners, as I mentioned, are located very close to us in Mecklenburg-Pomerania and northern Germany, but also in further parts of Europe. So if we look for education, that is the next step. As I mentioned, we have about 1,500 participants per year. And the main part of the participants is coming from the practical education in Germany, and in the northern Germany part here we have the market within Mecklenburg-Pomerania, and we are doing the practical education within our country, our state, and we do about 70% of the practical training of welders here in Mecklenburg-Pomerania. Of course, we also have to look for the next generation, and here we are also doing a challenge and international challenge for the younger welders when they start with welding and their education. This is the so-called Jugendschweiß, so young welders competition, and we are doing this since decades in our institute and doing this for the country. In theoretical education and training, we are doing mainly international welding engineers, technicians, and specialists. Here are shown some courses we are doing in Rostock in front of our facilities. During the pandemic, we learned a lot about, as we see also today, how to train and to reduce the presence parts, and are doing this in a hybrid way. Today with presence parts and also the digital classroom to reduce the efforts for traveling and so on, and are doing 2 of these courses per year in Rostock, and also for 2 of the courses for welding specialists. Since several years, we are doing this also as courses on international welding engineers and welding specialists in foreign countries. Here is an example shown from 2022 from Latvia and Riga, where we're doing these courses in Russian language, and with colleagues and partners from Latvia, Lithuania, and also Estonia. And it's the same system, as I will explain then in the further slides, like we are doing this in Rostock. And in 2017, we started our collaboration with partners also in Brazil. In that case, with a course starting in Sao Paulo, and we developed our first IWS, so International Welding Specialist course, in 2019. We started in 16, 17 was the preparation of the course, started then in 2019 with our first class in Brazil, and have been working since then, so nearly 8 years now, in the region of Sao Paulo, and also in the region of Curitiba. Are planning to do next courses then in the next years. To do this, we have a strategic cooperation with Lincoln Electric, which is our partner on site for the practical part and the presence part. And we are really happy to have our friends there and to do our courses using their facilities and their training facilities, especially for the practical education and the theoretical presence education, which we are doing then in the facilities at our friends from Lincoln. The first course, as I mentioned, started in 2019. Here are some pictures shown from the course progressing at the process. As we see here, 2020, it was on the beginning of the pandemic and during the pandemic, where we have started then with the practical training in the beginning of 2020 and the end of 2020. We see that it was ongoing in pandemic, also with present days. The first examination and finalization of the first IWS, the specialist course, has been done in the June of 2021. And all participants who started with us the course were able to finalize the course and to pass examinations. And with that course, the colleagues were the first IWS participants and the first IWS certificates then in whole Brazil. After that, we extended the collaboration for the next IIW welding supervision courses, especially for the international welding engineers, and established the strategic partnership with Lincoln do Brasil, and also implemented the first certification of our institute and the DVS in Brazil with Professor Jimenez, who gets the first IWA certificate in Brazil from our society, welding society, and also from our institute. The first IWE course in Brazil started then in 2020, and so on the beginning of August in 2020, and ended in November 23. The class was a little bit bigger, and it was a good mixture of men and women, and really brilliant colleagues with different backgrounds and a very high level class. And again, we were very happy to establish this class here in that case, to have this really great colleagues and students. And after all, they get their certification and finalization of the part. So let me make a short review how and why it is so interesting to be part of these classes and why it is so important. I will go, due to this, I will go to the IIW system and the structure of the training. And if we go a step back and we look for example, for Germany and the European countries, and also for the United States, and also to Asia, we see that in the welding world and in the welding, there are several ISO standards and ISO rules which deal with the welding coordination and especially with the task and the responsibilities. In our case, we look for the ISO 14731, which is dealing with tasks and responsibilities. And if you want to produce certain products where these standards and rules has to be used, then you have to have a certain qualification. Why is it so? Because the 14731 together with the ISO 3834, which is a standard ISO which deals with quality management and welding, has a national or international appendix, and within the appendix it is clearly installed and clearly written that depending on the product and the level of the product you want to do and you want to produce, you have to have certain specifications and qualifications of the persons who are doing and supervising all the things. So especially the welding, the quality requirements for fusion welding of metallic materials, for example, and the conformity to the quality requirements is then included here in this rule. And within this rule, it is clearly written that you have to have a certain level. And one way to fulfill this certain level is, for example, in Germany and also in Northern Europe and also in Asia, is to have a qualification and a certification after the IIW standards, which is written here, also on the right side, for international welding engineer, welding technician, and welding specialist. It's written within the IAB 252, depending on the year. It's a different, it's also a different scope, but in principle, these qualifications are enough to fulfill the needs of the 3834. If you look for the Institute of Welding, so it's an intercontinental and worldwide system, and it's a worldwide society. And you can see that within these IRW, many of the national welding societies are members, and within these IRW, there are two boards: the technical board and the board for authorization, International Authorization Board, the IAB, which is dealing with qualification systems. Certification, we don't look too much into detail for today, but the qualification system within the IRW is very strict and harmonized. And in fact, the IAB rules, which deal with the education of these different qualification rules and guidelines are harmonized worldwide. If you look for the system itself, we see that very similar to the IRW, the DVS system, which we work with, has in the top of the pyramid the DVS International Welding Engineer. It's according to the IRB 252 again, so it's an international welding engineer. On the second step or level, we have the welding technologist, and then we have the welding specialist. And depending on the background, you are allowed to step within one of these three levels if you are going to welding supervision. This International Authorization Board, the IAB, within the guideline IAB 252 is explaining and developing all the contents, and depending on the level, so if you're going for engineer, technologist, or specialist, you have different EQF level. That's standard. It's a standardized qualification level with different teaching hours. Here in that case, for example, you have 448 teaching hours for the engineer and about 189 teaching hours for the welding specialist, plus, of course, a lot of workload additionally for the learning at home. So it's roughly doubled as an overview. And depending on this level and on the diploma you have, you can produce or develop different products and are allowed to implement these products into the certain markets. We as an SLV or as the Welding Training Institute here in Rostock also have to be approved, and we are an approved training body by the DVS system here in Germany, by DVS per se, and DVS itself is then approved by the IRW. So this means that we can and we are allowed to do international education as an ATB and an approved training body within the DVS system and within the IRW system. And within the system, we have the full scope for every IRB levels concerning welding, from engineer to specialist and practitioner. And can do this through the different also within the different countries, and are allowed to do this education. If you look for the minimum requirements, of course, you have to fulfill some points to be allowed to take part at the course, and also to do the examination at the end. And here again, there is a special rule and a guideline for the minimum requirements for the different levels, and within these IAB 020 is here the name. It's also written, for example, for the different countries and also for Brazil, what you have to fulfill to do this certain education. The education itself is divided in different parts. The first part is always the theoretical part. Theoretical education within part one is basics. Then you have a midterm exam for the part one. Then you have practical lessons. It's between 1 and 2 weeks, depending on the level. Practical training also for the engineers, that at the end they understand what their practitioners or what their welders are doing. And then the main part is always the part 3, the theoretical education, which goes way more deep into the structures, into mechanical points, into the welding processes, materials, and so on. And finally, at the end, you will have the final exams, written and oral, for the different modules. And at the end, then you get your diploma and your certificate. Yeah, with this point, I would come to the conclusion. As I mentioned, we are an research and education institute. We are dealing with research mainly on laser processes in that case, and are always open to requests and for further discussion of different parts. And besides this, especially within Sao Paulo and Brazil, we are doing the education of welding supervision personnel, especially for international welding engineers and welding specialists. And we are really happy to present our institute today, and we are open for discussion and would be really happy to get questions from the audience. Thanks a lot for your attention, and feel free to ask my colleagues, especially Carla Bartzelewski, which is also, or who's also here today and open for questions, also in Portuguese. And of course, my colleagues, Mrs. Meisner and also Professor Luis Jimenez, for further questions on site. And of course, if you have any questions about research and development, later processes, you can always just ask me directly at peters@Rostock.de. And yeah, we would be really happy to answer your questions.
Muito bem, muito obrigada, Rigo. Carla, vocês gostariam de fazer alguma consideração para nós antes de iniciarmos as perguntas?
Só complemento, não sei se... Oi, Andréa.
Pode falar, Carla, estamos todos ouvindo.
Obrigada, tirou o eco.
Aí.
Então, eu sei que a apresentação ficou um pouco longa, e eu só queria dar mais uma informação também para vocês, muito importante, que o SLV de Rostock é um dos maiores na área de cursos de IWE, Engenheiro Internacional de Soldagem. Nós atuamos já há mais de 30 anos no mercado e atualmente estamos oferecendo esses cursos em vários países, como, por exemplo, Lituânia, Estônia, Letônia, Uzbequistão, Cazaquistão, Brasil e, a partir do próximo ano ou no outro, também no Chile e talvez outros países da América Latina. Como só para vocês terem ideia, como nós dissemos, temos mais de 30 anos de experiência no mercado também internacional. E estamos agora abertos para as perguntas de vocês, seja quais forem.
Quem gostaria de começar?
Pois não, lá no fundo.
Ah, tá. Colocar o e-mail e o contato deles na última...
Pois não, está no último slide da apresentação. Não sei se dá para mostrar de novo o último slide. Vocês podem talvez tirar uma foto do meu e-mail e o WhatsApp.
Tá ok.
Obrigada, professor Jimenez.
Ah, tá, não é o meu do... Tá. Perguntas para o Rigo e para a Carla? Você poderia, por gentileza, vir aqui? Porque o áudio que está saindo para eles é que está saindo aqui no computador e é bom que eles podem ver você também de pertinho. Pode se apresentar?
Olá.
Would you prefer Portuguese or English?
You can, if you can speak English, Mr. Peters can answer directly to you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Renata. I'm a welding engineer by Liebherr, Brazil. We have actually already been in contact with you, Carla. But I just wanted to ask how we should proceed with the certification for the welding engineers. We have in Liebherr myself and other 2 welding engineers, but we only have our diplomas from Brazil, which we were certified here, and we would like to proceed with the certification as well. And I wanted to understand a little bit more the process, please.
Okay, Rigo, you can tell it. I just sent them the formulars to fill it. We need all the documentation that they are written on these formulars.
Exactly.
Nós necessitamos de toda a documentação dos formulários que enviamos para você. Sorry, Rigo.
And how long does it take around the entire process?
So it usually depends on the completeness of the documentation. If the documents are completely there, it can be quite fast within 3 months. Let's say 8 to 3 months, because we have several stages to check all the things. But if the documents are complete, it could be within 2 or 3 months usually.
Okay, thank you.
Obrigada. Alguém mais, por favor? Não? Então, vocês voltaram tímidos do almoço, é isso? Vamos suspender o almoço amanhã, então. Bom, eu acho que é isso. Tem aqui? Aê, muito bem. Você poderia vir aqui para a gente, por favor?
Boa tarde. Meu nome é Mário Bittencourt, eu sou professor de uma universidade aqui no Brasil. A minha pergunta, eu vi algumas apresentações falando sobre algumas funções, como coordenador de soldagem, se não me engano, na norma 14731, supervisor de soldagem. Aí é uma curiosidade, essas funções, elas têm algum requisito legal, assim, na Europa? Ou seja, uma empresa, ela tem algum requisito legal que a obrigue a ter essas funções, ou é uma adesão voluntária das empresas para melhorarem a sua qualidade? Entendeu a pergunta?
Não.
Fiz em português porque era complicado, aí eu achei
sim.
mais fácil.
Deu para entender, sim. É exigido pelas empresas, são normas internacionais que são exigidas no processo de produção. Então, para as pessoas fazerem exportação de determinados produtos, os funcionários têm que ter essa qualificação, senão as empresas não podem exportar os produtos.
Tá.
Seja produto final ou seja produto intermediário, peça, seja o que for. Isso é um nivelamento a nível mundial, por isso que todo mundo tendo essa certificação de IWE sabe que a qualidade da produção é igual, seja no Japão, no Brasil, nos Estados Unidos, na Alemanha. Por isso que há a exigência mundial.
Perfeito. Muito obrigado, hein?
E essa norma também entrou no Brasil já. Desculpa, só acrescentando.
Não, eu até cheguei a fazer um serviço pela 14731, que a empresa exigia, né, um coordenador de soldagem. Obrigado.
Prazer.
Só um minutinho, os clientes vai fazer uma pergunta.
Viu, Mário? Quem pede a 17731 é 3834. Então, quem fabrica de acordo com a 3834, 1, 2 ou 3, pede a coordenação. Então, se você está qualificado com a 3834, você tem que ter a coordenação de soldagem certificada.
E a minha pergunta era justamente para que até as pessoas entendam, né, que a gente gosta muito de pensar em exportar, né? Mas para a gente entrar nesse mercado, no nosso país, a gente vai ter que ter essas certificações. Então, as pessoas vão ter que se certificar, vão ter que ter essa função. E não ser uma coisa apenas como se fosse uma exigência. Por empresas grandes como a Petrobras, ela exige. Só que as pessoas, eu vejo, elas falam, a Petrobras exige muito. Na verdade, não é a Petrobras, é o mercado internacional. Né? Tá bom, obrigado, hein?
Perfeito, Mário.
Mais alguém gostaria? Vamos encerrar por aqui. Rigo, Carla, nós gostaríamos de agradecer imensamente a participação de vocês, que mesmo com esse imprevisto, pôde contribuir com o nosso workshop. Nosso muito obrigada. Senhoras e senhores, por favor.
Obrigado.
Nós também que agradecemos todo o apoio de vocês, toda essa mudança de última hora, o trabalho que vocês tiveram também, pessoal do WELD. Muito, muito obrigada pela oportunidade de poder estarmos aí com vocês. Marcelo, nem que seja de via telinha da primeira vez, vamos voltar no ano que vem. E a todas as pessoas que estão aí participando também, obrigada de terem assistido a nossa palestra. Estamos à disposição para qualquer pergunta que vocês tiverem no futuro, seja de curso, seja dos trabalhos do SLV, de outras áreas que nós também oferecemos. Fiquem à vontade. E muito sucesso para todos aí no workshop.
Em setembro, a gente vai estar aí na Alemanha e faço questão de tomar uma cerveja com vocês.
Vamos estar aguardando o maior prazer. Vai ter cerveja então para todos.
Muito obrigado.
Obrigada, bom dia, bom sucesso.